We are in the final moments of the game between Nodirbek Abdusattorov and Praggnanandhaa in classical chess, the final round of the US Chess Cup 2025. Nodirbek is losing the game. He makes a queen, presses the clock, but he knows that his own king is going to be checkmated. Praggnanandhaa comes in and will execute the winning sequence. He takes the bishop with his queen. Nodirbek knows that it's mate in a few moves and it's time to resign the game. But what does this resignation mean? It means that now Praggnanandhaa and Nodirbek have the same score. Not just the two of them, but also Javokhir Sindarov, which means a three-way tie at the top, and this means there will be tie breaks. And in the tie breaks, it's going to be exciting to see who triumphs. Little did we know what lay ahead of us, and now we show you the entire tie breaks panning out as it did on the final day. We have Nodirbek Abdusattorov versus Javokhir Sindarov, and the tie breaks are about to begin. Each player will play the other twice, a double round robin of 3 minutes plus 2 seconds increment. E4, E5, knight to F3, knight C6. We have the Scotch opening on the board, and few moves down the line, bishop takes C3, queen C3, queen comes out to F6. Sindarov's decision not so great, as it allows Nodirbek to get a very nice position where he can press. Moving on, we have here rook d7, knight comes to d4, and white's position is so much superior. King f1 would be a good idea, but rook e3 was played, allowing certain tactics, but this is something that Nodirbek is happy to reach. And this is a very nice rook endgame, but Nodirbek wasn't able to press effectively here. And now after king c2, rook check, black has equalized in this position. Check, king goes back, check, king comes up, check, and they agree to a draw. The first game ends in a draw between Abdusattorov and Sindarov, and as Sindarov says, yes, now I have to just go to the other side and play with the opposite colors. The second game will begin shortly. The second game between Sindarov and Nodirbek starts off with e4, e5, knight to f3, knight c6, bishop b5. We have the Ruy Lopez, and a few moves down the line. In this position, white is already pressing a bit, and Nodirbek blunders here. Knight to d4. Why is this a mistake? Well, look at the tactics. White has a super strong move in knight takes b5. Because after takes, yes, he finds it. Because after takes here, there is bishop c4, and the position is completely over because there is a huge attack. So knight takes b5 comes as a huge shock. You can look at Nodirbek. He is paused there. He's unable to find his next response, but he needs to continue, because if he loses this game, it would mean he would have only half a point out of 2 games, while Sindarov will move to 1.5. But what's the way? What should he do here? There's nothing much that he can do. He has fair and square blundered a pawn. He takes on b3, ab3, and now this is great. Knight comes back to b6, and then moving on, he goes king e4, check, king f5. This is completely winning for Sindarov. He pushes his pawn to h4, and now Nodirbek gets his king here. Rook here, h takes g5 is winning, but he blunders. He pins this. He loses the pawn, and look at the confidence with which Nodirbek is playing. Rook f3, king jumps in, check, back, check, king here, and they agree to a draw. Oh my god, Nodirbek manages to save it. The score is 1 out of 2 for both the players, and now it's time for Pragg to enter into the scene. But what a save for Nodirbek Abdusattorov. It's now time for Praggnanandhaa to enter the playing area. Sindarov and Nodirbek are on 1 out of 2. And now Pragg will play both Nodirbek twice and Sindarov twice, making it 4 games for himself. He gets ready with the white pieces. Nodirbek arrives in. It's going to be a very, very exciting clash. Just a few minutes ago, They played their classical encounter and Pragg emerged victorious there. And once again, they are here sitting opposite each other, now playing Blitz in the tiebreak to determine the champion. We are ready to go. And 3 minutes plus 2 seconds increment. The trophy stands in the background. The beautiful bishop logo of the UZ chess, and the arbiter asks them to start the game. D4 by Praggnanandhaa. Nodirbek brings his knight out. Knight to F3. Pawn D5. Pragg plays this quiet line with E3. And the bishop comes out to F5. Pragg pauses a bit, thinks about whether he should go C4, but then goes bishop D3 here. Pawn to E6, and now bishop takes F5. E takes F5, spoils the structure with C4. And we move on to the next position, which was very critical in the game. In this moment, Praggnanandhaa is slightly better out of the opening. He takes on D5, and now it's important for black to take back with the knight, but Nodirbek makes a huge mistake by taking with the pawn. This allows Praggnanandhaa tactic. Can he find it? And he finds it. A beautiful move. You can't take here because this is hanging. Knight C7 is lurking. And if you go king E7 here, trying to protect this, knight D6, king D6, followed by knight G5, bishop B4 is very, very powerful. So all of this leads Nodirbek to play knight E4. But Pragg gets a huge advantage. And I love this move, bishop E1, which transfers the bishop to another diagonal, gives up a pawn, brings the bishop into the center, hitting the rook here. Nodirbek hardly has any time left on the clock, 20 seconds, so does Pragg. And now this beautiful shifting of the rook. The way in which Pragg is converting this game is absolutely insane. Knight F6 attacks the rook, rook goes back, knight H5, pinning the knight here. And what amazing play by Pragg. He takes the rook, knight comes to G3, check, king F5, it's a mate in one here, rook F6, Nodirbek resigns. Praggnanandhaa scores the first win. He's on 1 out of 1. Nodirbek 1 out of 3. Sindarov 1 out of 2. Praggnanandhaa's chances of winning the UZ Chess Cup are really very, very high right now. For the second game, it's Nodirbek who arrives first. He has a lot to do here. He has to win. He's right now at a big disadvantage in this double round robin, where he is on 1 point out of 3. Pragg is in a good situation, and if Pragg manages to win this game, he would have excellent chances of winning this tournament. Both players are ready. Nodirbek with the white pieces opens with E4, E5. Knight comes out to F3, knight C6, G3 played. He wants to play this system which Nodirbek does often when he's in a must-win, because there's not much theory here, and he seems to be an expert here. Knight takes D5, bishop G2, bishop comes out to D6, white castles, black castles, and pawn to A3. We move to the next critical moment. Black has just pushed his pawn to E4. White is slightly better. Nodirbek plays queen C3. Now very important for Praggnanandhaa to take care here. He blunders. He blunders here. His point here is Nodirbek takes back. He doesn't see it. Queen takes D4 was completely winning, because after queen takes D4 you had take and you would be a piece up. And this was a big mistake. So after CD3, now Praggnanandhaa sees that he can actually save his position. And so the move that black can go for is rook takes rook first. Pragg thinks for a bit and finds it. Rook takes rook, and F6. And now black is doing pretty okay. We move to the next critical moment in the game now. Queen is on D1. Black is doing well. Both players down to their last few seconds. Pragg has only 4 seconds while Nodirbek has 13. He thinks for a bit. He takes the knight. Rook comes in. Queen A5, and that's a mistake because now rook D2 and it's a mating attack. If king G2, you play bishop C4, a very important move. And Nordirbek down to 5 seconds. Pragg misses this bishop c4 idea. Rook comes to f3. And now after h6, Nordirbek is back in the game. The position is around equal. The rook bishop versus rook position is drawn right now. Pragg moves his rook, king comes in, king moves up. And right now it seems like a draw. And a draw would do a world of good to Pragg. Not so good for Nordirbek. But if Nordirbek manages to win this, he has chances then. Bishop here. Rook comes back. It's still holding. And if a check here, king comes out. So the rook goes back. Rook moves to the side. Bishop f5. King h5. Rook is waiting. He brings his bishop to e6. And rook b4 played. Praggnanandhaa somehow managing here. But with 4 seconds, Nordirbek may create certain threats which will be very difficult to hold. Bishop c6. And plays rook c6. Bishop comes in. And now it's important to go rook c8. Blunders with rook b4. He plays king f4. And now white is completely winning. You can see the confidence on Nordirbek's face. He goes with his rook to the side. And then brings his rook down, threatening a checkmate. And when the king has to move back, look at Pragg there. He goes the other side and it's checkmate. Nordirbek wins, gets to 2 out of 4. Pragg is on 1 out of 2. Sindarov on 1 out of 2. 2 more games between Sindarov and Pragg will determine who wins the UZ Chess Cup. It's time for a 2-game match between Javokhir Sindarov and Praggnanandhaa. Sindarov has the white pieces here and must try his best to beat Pragg here. 3 minutes plus 2 seconds, a handshake, and off we go. e4. Pragg goes for the Scandinavian. Takes, queen takes d5, knight c3, plays his queen to a5. Pragg seems to have come with this weapon of Scandinavian for this encounter. Bishop f5 played. And now moving on, the position was equal. We reached the queen endgame. Now this queen endgame is a bit dangerous for Pragg. That's because white has a queen side majority, 3 versus 2. And in queen endgames, this is very dangerous. And Sindarov playing here brilliantly, pushing his pawns. Queen check, king h2, he comes queen d2. Trying for this perpetual. But b6 played. Because a check will be met with g3. f2 is defended. Check, king comes up, check again. g3 played. Plays queen to e4. King goes back, check, king g2, check. Is it a draw? Well, at least for now, the position looks roundabout even. Pragg is hanging on there. Queen c7 played. Can we start attacking the f2 point? e5 may be a good idea. He goes h5, c5. Pushing the pawn. c6 could be a massive threat to just make a queen. Queen f3, attacking this. Queen goes to e5 with a check. f6 played. And he comes back with the queen. Can't trade queens here. Pragg somehow trying to hold here, but the white position is just too strong. King e7. Pushes h4, trying to create a weakness on the other side. Queen d7 offering a trade. You can trade queens and win, but he doesn't really do that. Pushes his pawn to f5. Queen e5 takes on h4. The white king is much safe. Queen check. Queen goes to f3. And now a check here. King e8. And queen comes back. You have to maintain the queens. A queen trade would mean Pragg would lose the game. He takes it, but now he's lost. He goes king c6. It seems like king is very active. King g5. He goes to the other side to win this pawn, but c6 is a beautiful move. King takes. White will be way ahead in the race. Pawn takes is not possible. Queen. Pragg resigns. And Sindarov moves to 2 out of 3. Pragg is on 1 out of 3 and needs to win. A must-win game for Pragg in the next round. And if he manages to do that, we will all be tied. All the players will be tied on 2 out of 4. It's time for the second encounter between Praggnanandhaa and Sindarov. Must win game for Pragg. Everything is at stake here. If he manages to win this game, we would then move on to the next set of tie breaks. But if Sindarov manages to draw or win, he's the champion of the US Chess Cup 2025. The game begins d4, knight f6, knight f3, and Sindarov, who knows nothing apart from playing uncompromising chess, goes for the King's Indian, I believe. And Pragg plays the main line with knight c3. You have short castles, pawn to e4, d6 played here. And very interesting what Pragg's choice will be here in the King's Indian. But one thing is for sure, Pragg doesn't have to worry about a draw here. h3, and then a few moves later, we reach this very interesting position, which is maybe slightly better for Pragg, but very complicated, with both players having close to 15 seconds on the clock. At this point, Pragg let his time burn down to 6 seconds, took the knight, rook jumped in with a check, Pragg came back, and before you knew it, Pragg's advantage had gone away. Sindarov was this close to becoming the champion. He plays now the right move, rook e5. A perfect move, and Pragg takes, rook f4 played. Maybe here king g7 was better. He took king e1, and now rook e2 check, followed by taking here on b2. But he takes directly. Pragg moves in with rook f7, attacking c7. He has the d passer, but the position is still a draw. Sindarov can win the title. He goes b5, which is still in a draw. Takes, now must take here on c4. Instead, still not blunders. Must take on c4, but goes b4, which is a blunder. And the main point is that now Pragg can actually make a queen and come back with his rook, and Sindarov resigns here, which means Praggnanandhaa has equalized the score of Sindarov and Nodirbek. 2 out of 4. What a tie break we are having. And now we have the draw of lots once again for the next set of games. And this time the arbiter says it will be a single round robin between the 3 players, which means each just one time, not twice. And players are of course tired to the core, but we still have to find the winner of the US Chess Cup, and there is a small break that the players have, perhaps 5 minutes break, and let's go to the players area to see what's happening there. Pragg is with his second, Vaibhav Suri, trying to be relaxed. Look at Pragg, he's played so many games today, yet looks so fresh. Sindarov is walking alone there, while Nodirbek Abdusattorov is at the far end, eating something or drinking something. These champions have to bring out every ounce of their remaining energy to fight in this final tie-break round robin. We will see who comes out on top. The first game is between Pragg and Nodirbek Abdusattorov. We have Nodirbek Abdusattorov already on the board. He has the black pieces here against Praggnanandhaa. A very important clash here. First game of this single round robin. Early lead for one of them would be very, very important. The arbiter comes in, and I think they are about to begin. Pragg adjusts all his pieces. This is the third time, actually the fourth time today that they are playing each other. One classical game, 2 blitz games where blows were traded, and now let's see what happens. Knight f3, d5, g3. Praggnanandhaa goes for the Reti system. c5 puts his bishop on g2. Knight comes out to f6 and white castles. Knight comes out to c6. Pawn to d4. Knight takes e5. We have the reversed Grunfeld here. Pawn to c4, and now bishop e7. Maybe not the most accurate way to play this system, because knight c3, you're putting pressure on the d5 pawn, and bishop e6 is playable, and bishop g5 is the best move, but Pragg makes an error with queen a4. I think it's the tiredness with which he kind of forgot that after castles he can't win this because of rook c8 and black is better, so he goes rook d1. But his position is already slightly worse, and Nodirbek built it up from here. Pawn to d4, and then moving on to this position where Pragg is worse. He took on d4, but this gives black a winning advantage. Nodirbek chopped off the rook. Rook takes c2. Knight takes c2. He took on a4. Rook d2 is met with e3. He played it. Now e3, knight e3, rook e3 is winning, but he makes not a good move. fg4, giving Praggnanandhaa the chance to fight back here, and the position is now closer to equality. And finally we reach this position, which is insane, because once again, if you think about it, they are in a rook bishop versus rook endgame. How many times did Nodirbek have this in the tournament? But this time, luckily, Pragg has this pawn which is ready to queen, and so he doesn't have to defend this pure endgame. He can now simply take king b7, and Pragg has dodged a bullet here. He manages to draw the game from a completely worse position. Nodirbek, of course, would be unhappy with this result, but a draw keeps all options open. Everything is open. 2 more games to go. Pragg versus Sindarov, Sindarov versus Nodirbek, and we will see who manages to win the UZ Chess Cup. It's now time for the second Blitz game. This time Sindarov versus Praggnanandhaa. Sindarov has the white pieces, opens with e4. We have the Scandinavian again, queen d5, knight c3, and Pragg goes for this bishop f5 line. And few moves down the line, Pragg pushes his pawn to b5. He already is better because this pawn is pinned here, and Pragg has a very nice position. In fact, Sindarov can still try to create something, but Pragg is pushing for sure. And eventually we reach a position where Praggnanandhaa was totally winning. He has extra pawns, queen c3 check. He moves his king to the side. Sindarov goes back, but in comes a check. The queen is traded, hg, giving up one pawn to get another, and Praggnanandhaa wins. He's done his job. He scored 1.5 out of 2 in this. Sindarov has to now, he cannot win this. Nodirbek must win his next game. And after winning this game, Praggnanandhaa can heave a sigh of relief, because he's surely not going to be eliminated here. If Nodirbek wins against Sindarov, we'll have another tie break between Pragg and Nodirbek. But if he loses or draws, then Pragg is the champion. It's now time for Nodirbek versus Sindarov. This could well be the decider. Nodirbek has to win. He has the white pieces. He has everything to play for here. Sindarov is out from the fight for the first place. e4, e5, knight to f3, and you go g3 here. And that's Nodirbek's secret weapon to fight for the full point in these games. d6. He plays his pawn to d3. Just want a fresh position. A fresh fighting position is all that he needs. And so we reach this position where Nodirbek is under some pressure because black has more space. Knight comes here, pawn pushes, queen takes c5 played, and now pawn to h5. Sindarov is creating his own play. Praggnanandhaa would be watching this game intently. If Sindarov manages to win or draw, Pragg would be the champion. So Nodirbek has to play this carefully, but his position already super bad because the knight is jumping in, the rook is coming in here, bishop h3 trying to stop this check, but there could be another check here on f3 followed by rook g1 mate. Big problems here. Sindarov has 14 seconds, 13 seconds, and now if knight f3, there is f5 hanging, so you have to be careful. g6 played, a good move. Queen comes in, king moves up, no more checks here, and now threatening knight f3 and rook g1. So rook comes up to e3, knight jumps in, a check by the queen, and he plays king g7, rook takes, pawn takes, queen, now exchange down. Sindarov is totally winning this. He's exchange up, and Nodirbek hardly has any moves. He goes queen b7, queen d7, offering a trade, and with time running down, Nodirbek loses on time. Sindarov wins it, which means Praggnanandhaa has become the champion of the US Chess Cup 2025. What a tiebreak this was.
Birinchi o'rin egasi Hindiston vakili grossmeyster Ramesh Babu Praggnanandhaa. Va ko'rib turganingizdek, Ramesh Babu kubokni qabul qilib oldilar.
Shahid Ahmed from Chessbase India, who was present in Tashkent, got a chance to ask Pragg how was he feeling after this intense day of chess, and this is what Pragg had to say.
Yeah, right now I'm just completely exhausted. Just want to go to bed badly, but yeah, overall I'm happy with how it went today.